The opening sequence of Major Tom crashing the X9.
Tell my wife I love her very much.
She knows!
It's just pure poetry.
Flynn's Arcade.
Hi, this is Flynn's Arcade, and this is my video about the Venture Bros Season 1, Episode 8, Ghosts of Sargasso. Before we start, please can you do me a favour and like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be talking quite a lot about this book here, so now on with the video. In this episode, I'm going to give a brief synopsis of the plot. I'm going to talk about any themes that I've noticed, any character development in the episode, any jokes that I've particularly enjoyed, the style of the episode, and finally, I'm going to rate it out of 10. In this episode, the family takes to the seas in search of the wreckage of the X9 spacecraft. During the course of this, they meet some pirates, they meet an actual real-life ghost, and finally, they fail to recover the X9. As the themes of this episode, as always, failure looms large over everything. Dr. Venture's financial problems are reduced him to a new low in that he's taken to watery grave robbing.
One flyboy goes boom and he scrapped the whole project out of respect for the dead.
In the search of the X9. There's obviously something very wrong with the X9 in that it's crashed in the first place, which led to Major Tom's death. And also, Dr. Venture's dad said that he didn't want to try and recover it out of respect for the dead, which Dr. Venture chose to ignore. In the episode, Dr. Venture nearly drowns.
If you're listening to this, boys, I just want you both to know.
The metasonic locator, which initially sounds like a pretty impressive invention, all it manages to do is flush out a ghost. The ghost pirates aren't actually ghosts or pirates. And even Major Tom's ghost isn't actually as terrifying as it initially appears, because Brad Truck beats the crap out of it. So yeah, it's failure all round in this one. There's some quite good character development in this. It's the first episode where we see the original Team Venture, which is Dr. Venture's dad's gang. It's the first episode to feature the fan favourite, the pirate captain.
What the hell was that?
We get to see Brock being even tougher than he normally is, in that he manages to beat somebody up just by using his own arse. And Hank gets to fulfill his dreams in that he gets to literally be Brock's hands.
You have to be my hands.
I'll talk you through it.
Brock,
What?
this could be the single greatest moment of my life.
Focus, Hank.
And that really sort of, cements his general hero worship of Brock, which really, becomes a theme throughout the rest of the Venture Brothers. And also Dean, he's a big fan of the Giant Boy Detective series, and he actually gets to use some of his super sleuth skills with varying results. As the jokes of the episode, my favourite one is when Dean confronts the ghost pirates.
Your scheme was very clever. Very clever indeed. But he's no ghost.
Because he uses his super sleuthing skills to crack the mystery of what's going on there. And it results in a dramatic unmasking of the ghost pirate. But by then, everyone had clocked the fact that they weren't really ghosts. And when he unmasks the guy, he doesn't even know who he's unmasking, so the thing doesn't really make sense. I really appreciate the fact, though, that this image is used as the illustration for the TV tropes page for the dramatic unmasking trope, because it is perfect. It's just done all kinds of wrong. But strangely enough, Mike Lazo, the boss of Adult Swim, really didn't like this episode when he was first sent the script for it. He actually wrote on it, they can't all be winners, when he sent it back to Jackson Public and Doc Hammer. There was a few things he really disliked. One of the things was initially the episode had a much longer monologue of Dr. Venture roaming along the seabed looking for the X9.
Yeah, like trying to walk around inside a giant fat kid. Journal entry 36. I don't get it. The metasonic locator should have rolled back the curtain of time and revealed my dad's flying metal failure by now. No, wait, that's crap.
And on his suggestion, they cut it down. I mean, he actually didn't like Dr. Venture's voice at that point. He thought he sounded really nasal and whiny. He just didn't think it was funny enough. He thought the screaming ghost wasn't funny at all. physical comedy was big, was all the rage at Adult Swim at that point. And then he felt that, it just wasn't, and there wasn't enough of it. So, yeah, and he even wrote on when he sent the script back that, they can't all be winners, prompting, Jackson Public and Doc Hammer to get really, quite anxious that the show could potentially be cancelled at this point. I read an interview with them really recently. This is in January of this year. It was done by Swimpedia to commemorate the 21st anniversary of the pilot being broadcast. And they still talk about it to this day, and it is quite feasible that if they hadn't have rectified these problems, that the show that we all love could have easily been cancelled at this point. But as it was, they went away. They did things to him. They included the scene with Brock beating up the pirate with his arse. They cut down the scenes of Doc's adventure roaming on the seabed, and eventually, Mike Lazo, when he saw the actual animation of the episode, he said, "No, this is it's great. It's my favourite episode you've done yet." Interesting fact as well is that upon finishing writing this episode and seeing the problems that they had with the network, the Doc Hammer went off and wrote "Tag Sell You're It" off the back of it, which is a really funny episode. So, as potential disaster in the production of the Venture Brothers led to 2 really amazing episodes. It's really surprising to learn this though, because this episode really is a fan favourite, and it's often referenced in Venture Brothers fan forums that if you're going to introduce your friends to the Venture Brothers, this is a great episode to show them. So yeah, it worked out really well. But it's amazing that it was kind of touch and go with this one, and it's quite strange, the idea that my favourite show could have been cancelled. But yeah, it could have been. So we would have all really missed out. So thank goodness it didn't happen. As to the style of this episode, the opening sequence of Major Tom crashing the X9.
Tell my wife I love her very much.
She knows!
It's just pure poetry. I just love the fact that it's shot at sunset, that it looks like it's shot on a Super 8, so it has a real 60s theme to it. And then the fact that it's got the David Bowie song, I just absolutely love it. It was a very risky move to include the Bowie lyrics like that, because Bowie fans like myself, you could have, if they'd have done it in a disrespectful way, if they got it wrong, it could have really pissed everyone off. But it actually came off. It's just really, it was done really, really well. It massively managed to pull it up, and and it's the sort of thing that really elevates the Venture Brothers when you watch it back. Absolutely brilliant. They knocks it out of the park, and just to follow it up with this really poetic and dramatic sequence, with the really mundane sequence of the contemporary Venture family stood on the X2.
Need one with me next to the Metasonic locator?
No, I need one where your suit isn't writing up.
Well, what do you want? It's terry cloth.
It's just brilliant, and it had a really funny joke. Even the funny jokes pretty good, because the outfit Doc's Adventures playsuit is a reference to what Sean Connery wore in the James Bond film Goldfinger. So that's a big film history reference right there. Also, that Brock's seafaring out attire, that's a reference to what Max Cady wore in the 1960s film Cape Fear. So just the fashion alone of this episode, it's a real callback to a more sort of glamorous time in the 1960s that the Venture Brothers is always is kind of a pastiche of. It seems to be calling back to and glamorizing, yet completely making fun of a historic time. So yeah, absolutely spot on. Another aspect to the style of the episode is just the design of the X2. Jackson Public wanted it to be a hydrofoil because they had a hydrofoil in Johnny Quest, and it was a reference to that. But it's really funny because on the X2 there's a helipad, and there's always loads of items on the helipad. If that hydrofoil ever reaches top speed, all of the items on the helipad will just fall off into the sea. So it's just quite funny that there's this absurd item on the episode, and I wouldn't have noticed that if I hadn't read the book. So that's really good. Finally, I think that the Scooby-Doo references hold the episode together really well. It's just a nice little thread that seems to weave its way through the episode, and it's one of the reasons why I think this episode is always spoke about so fondly in amongst the Venture Brothers fan community as a fine introduction to the universe, because if you don't know Johnny Quest, which I'd never heard of Johnny Quest before I got into the Venture Brothers, and even if you don't know David Bowie, chances are you will know Scooby-Doo because everyone used to watch it. So you just feel comfortable and know what you're looking at immediately when you watch this episode. So yeah, it really is spot on. So finally, I'm going to give this episode 10 out of 10. I absolutely love it and I can't spot anything wrong with it. I was always going to give this episode a really high mark just because I love the opening sequence so much. It's beautiful and it's just the, it just evokes so many themes and imagery. It's just great. And then when you sort of add in the jokes about the ghost pirates, you get the joke about Brock's violence, and finally there's a really low-key reference to a Patrick Swayze film.
Oh please, you've seen Ghost? The rest is cake.
So yeah, it's spot on. So I've absolutely loved watching this episode and reviewing it. So that's all from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you agree with what I've said, or let me know if I've missed anything, because this episode was packed, and so I'm sure there was some stuff in it that I neglected to mention. If you can't think of anything to write, please can you write Go Team Venture, because that really helps the algorithm. And if you haven't, please can you subscribe, because it really does help too. So that's all from me, and I will see you in the next video.